Hey guys, it's Jess from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with the top 10 books I've read this year so far. Right now it is August 24th. Yep, August 24th. We are way more than halfway through the year, and it pretty much feels like it's Thanksgiving already with all the fall decorations happening, but I am so ready for fall. But that's not what we're talking about today. We are talking about the best books I've read this month so far. I do have top 5 of each season I've read so far this year, but I didn't look at those when I made this list. I don't remember what I put on those lists, and those happen right after I read those books in the previous 3 months, and so this is just thinking back on everything I've read, and feelings change after time passes with a book, and some books stick with you more than others, and so these are books that really stuck with me, that I might have read at the beginning of the year, that I might have read just like 2 weeks ago, but they're ones in this moment of the year I loved, and so there are 10 of them, and I'll go ahead and get to my favorites I've read this year. So I have read 11 books in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series this year, and my favorites are number 3 and number 4, so I started at number 6 this year. 3 and 4 I read last year, and my favorites that I've read from number 6 till number 17, plus the 4 spin-off books. This one was my absolute favorite, and it's gotta be in this list, and that is Lover Unleashed by J.R. Ward, obviously. This is book, I think, 10. This is Manny's story, Manny and Pain. I can't tell you who Pain is without completely ruining a lot of the book series. So she is the vampire. He's a human. He is introduced in book 2, and so I don't know if J.R. Ward wanted Manny to be something in the series, or if she introduced him then decided to bring him back. He was a doctor with Jane, and Jane was the human from book 2 who fell in love with Rage, and Doc Jane is in like a ton of the books, and she was kind of getting overwhelmed as a doctor for all the vampires. So Manny is in this book, and I just love him. I think it has to do with why I love Butch. I can't tell you what that means, but I just loved Manny so much, and I love their romance. Vicious was in a lot of this book, but he's in it for a reason, and I can't tell you why either because it's super spoilery, but I love this book so much. I love Manny, and yeah, it's got to be in my top 10 of this year. The next one is the only one that I've read like pretty recently, and that's The Highwayman by Kerrigan Byrne. This one blew me away. I was just, oh, I know my friends love this. My friend Lacey from Book Lovers for Life loves this. A lot of people like Kerrigan Byrne. They typically talk about The Highwayman. So I picked it up not expecting too much, and it had such Zadis vibes from Black Dagger Brotherhood. You have your damaged hero who went through some really, really crappy stuff. He's physically scarred like Zadis is, and he is just such a softie underneath until once you get past his like super mean hard exterior, and he has to keep this woman safe. He knew her kind of husband that she had met when she was at boarding school, and she is kind of in a bad spot. Someone's trying to kill her, they think. This takes place in Scotland, which is my fave, and there's just so much complexity to this, and the ending, it made me want to cry. It was so good, and it's one of my favorite historical romances of all time, and definitely in the top 10 of this year. Next one is Praying for Rain by B.B. Easton. This one was just a shock to me because, well, I have 2 that are kind of having to do with the apocalypse. I just don't know what it is about those kind of books. I love them. If you read the Outlaw series by Elle Kennedy, I think it's called the Outlaw series. It's Addicted, Claimed, and Ruled. Those are the 3. I just said them out of order. They're up there. That's why I looked at them. They have to deal with post-apocalyptic stuff, and I love those books. This one, they all know the world's going to end on April 20-something, 23rd. April 23rd, the world's going to end. And so, of course, for the whole year leading up to that date, people are freaking out, and life is pretty much over. Everyone's doing what they want. It's mass chaos. Kind of reminds me of The Purge, kind of. And she runs into this guy, and they kind of try to survive together. There's a huge cliffhanger. That's all I want to say. I love the romance. It was kind of enemies to lovers, kind of like pushed her away, and it was just really good, and a lot of surprises thrown at you, and I'm dying for book 2, which should come out this year. My next one has to do with the apocalypse, and that is Pestilence by Laura Thalassa. I also read Rhapsodic, which should have made this list too, but it didn't because I had to pick 10. I really love that book, probably an honorable mention. That's more fantasy. This one is post-apocalyptic, kind of like during the apocalypse, really. The 4 horsemen have come to destroy the earth, and our main character is a firefighter, and she draws a short straw to kill him as he's coming through, and like logically you'd think, how has he not died yet? Maybe there's like a little bit of a mystery there that we should solve, but they don't. And so she kills him and lights him on fire, but guess what? He is immortal. So yeah, no. So he ends up kidnapping her and taking her around with him. He is sickness, and so he is killing everybody in his path, and they form a romance. It's so good. The ending leads you up to book 2. I haven't read it yet. It did come out already. I need to read it, but I really enjoyed this. The next one, I usually forget to add this to any list of my favorites of the year because I read it really quickly. I believe I got an arc of it, or if they didn't have arcs, I read it right when it came out. I still don't remember, and I flew through it like I do every book by this author, so I need to reread this, and that is Kill Switch by Penelope Douglas. This one, though, had me so scared. Our main character is blind, and so if you know these books, they really like to play tricks on each other and scare each other and test each other's limits, and so she's literally blind in really scary situations, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm terrified. Oh my god, I'm terrified, and I just could not imagine being in her place. But Penelope Douglas did a really, really great job of making Damon's character very likable because he's been the villain of the entire series. This is book 3. I don't know if I said that in this series. He is literally the villain in book 1 and 2, and so you don't know how she's going to redeem his character. And I felt myself feeling for him, and I felt bad for him, and I wanted him to be happy, and it's a chunker. It is 500 pages long, so it was really, really good. My next favorite was The Bride Test by Helen Hoang. This one is book 2, kind of, but they're more companion books, and our main character Kai has autism, and his mom hires someone from Vietnam to come over and be his wife because he thinks he cannot love, so he's like, I'm just never going to be with anybody. That's fine. I just don't love. I just can't. And our main character is Esme, and she comes over for her family to have a better life, to try to stay in America because they live in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment. I don't even know if there's a bedroom in it. I think it might just be like 1-room apartment. And she kind of breaks down Kai's walls. She's very patient when it comes to him. I love all the characters and all the family we've gotten here, and it's so good, and it's just so good. It's just the warm fuzzy feelings you get like with the Kiss Quotient. I love this. Then, this shouldn't be a surprise, one of my new favorite books of all time is The Gravity of Us by Brittany C. Cherry. This one, I don't even want to tell you the synopsis. I went in completely blind. Our main character is a thriller writer, and there's something going on. I literally can't tell you. I was just along for the ride, and the angst killed me, and I cried in this book. I rarely cry in books, and I cried in this one, and it was amazing, and you all need to read it. It's an amazing romance. That's all you need to know. The next one is one that I don't think was on any of my favorite lists, but then the more I thought about it, the more I just like loved it. I'm just a little annoyed that everything's fade to black in this book, and so that is On Honeymooners by Christina Lauren. This one is just laugh out loud funny. The hype is totally worth it. It's enemies to lovers. They have to fake date. Then they start falling in love, and it's just so good. It's in Hawaii, so it's a traveling romance. You see them on the plane, bickering, hating each other. It's so good. There's some things you have to suspend disbelief, like her boss ends up being there, and someone he knows ends up being there, and it's like, what are the chances that this one resort in Hawaii where they don't even live, they see people they know? But it's fine. It's hilarious. It's adorable. It's a great romance. Then the 9th book on this list is Born Darkly by Trisha Wolfe. This one is about a serial killer and a psychologist falling in love, and it's so good. It kind of reminds me of like Seven, the movie, with like kind of just like a twisted psychological thriller because obviously something's gonna happen, and things do happen, and I'm like, oh boy, what's gonna happen? Is he really serious? Is he not? Can she love this guy? Does he really love her? Is something like mind twisty going on? It had you questioning so much, but the romance was so good, and I can't wait to read the second book. And the last one's the one I don't physically own, and that is Marriage for One by Ella Mays. I need to get my hands on this, but it's super expensive on Amazon, so I'm waiting for the price to drop, hopefully. And this one is a marriage of convenience novel between Jack and Rose. Jack proposes to Rose because of a situation she's in, and he can help her, so she says yes. They have to like act like they're married, so it's not really enemies to lovers, but it's more like a apathetic to lovers relationship. They don't really have feelings for each other, and then it like grows from there, and Jack is a very just like hard closed off man, and then they end up falling for each other. It's super slow burn, like Myron Zapata slow burn, so if you love her books, read this book. So good. I loved every second of it. It was such a surprise. I'd never read anything by this author before, and now I want to read everything from her. And those are my top 10 books so far this year. I can't wait to see what else I read this year, and if anything from this list is still there at the end. I'm sure a lot of it is. Hopefully it's not everything on this list the same as my top 10 at the end of 2019, because then that'd be sad. It means the next 4 months I don't read good books, so hopefully some of these are still on the list. Some might not be. That's all I have. Let me know down below if you've read any of these and what your thoughts are, or what your favorite book of the year so far is. I would love to hear. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.